Hi, this is Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and you're going to be listening to some no BS hiring advice. This is a time on Wednesdays where I'd like to spend about 15 minutes speaking with you about some aspect of the hiring process, because I believe it doesn't have to be as hard or difficult or painful or be as unsuccessful as it often is. It's just most of you have systems in place that interfere with your ability to get people on board. Now, you may think you don't, but how many of these jobs are you filling and at what cost? At what effort? What's going into your hiring process, and how much collateral damage are you causing with your staff and with the people that you're interviewing with? Now, this show has two sponsors. The first one is Audible. And if you go to audibletrial.com/the Big Game Hunter and sign up for a free trial of Audible, you'll get a free audiobook as part of that trial. And I know you like audio. You listen to my podcast, whether it's this one, my flagship show, which is called Job Search Radio. That one gets probably in the area of 6,000 downloads weekly now. Great show. And by the way, if you'd like to advertise on it now, drop me a note at thebiggamehunter@gmail.com. I'll forward information to you for how to reach the ad salesperson for the show. The next sponsor is consultingassignments.com. And that's a site where you can find and fill consulting assignments, full-time consulting positions, temp to perm, and contract to hire opportunities anywhere in the world completely free. Posting a job or a resume is free. Searching jobs and resumes is free. The ability to contact one another is free. The only thing the site charges for is if you're going to feature a job or a resume. It is, get this, $10 for 30 days. And if you're going to post more than one position, they have prices that will come down from there. So again, that's consultingassignments.com. Now, I promise a show where I'm going to point out to you some of the things that you do that are turning job hunters off. And if you go, so what? I want to point out to you that in this market, unlike the one that existed in 2008, 9, and 10, this is a very job hunter oriented market. It's a market where people are getting multiple offers. Doesn't matter what industry it is. They're just getting multiple offers and they're having choices. And firms are rushing to get them. I was at a meeting last week in Charlotte for a network group that I belong to called NPA Worldwide. If you go to npaworldwide.com and look up the service, what you'll see is we're a network globally. At this point, it's about 500 member firms in a host of industries: banking and finance, IT, manufacturing, engineering, many different industries who work collaboratively to fill jobs. And although most of our members are in the US, there are many in Canada, Western Europe, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and we're growing our presence in Western Europe, the Middle East, South Africa, and Latin America. And in meeting with a group in the Southeast last week, what I saw was many people who were doing extremely well. And they were working in a host of industries. I noticed that those of us who worked in manufacturing and IT and accounting and finance, all were doing extremely well. And our clients were beating a path to our door because they were finding it difficult to find enough good people on their own. So what I want to start off by saying is the economy right now is strong, and job applicants need to be wooed in order to attract them and keep them interested. And some of you instead treat them like they're parasites and leeches. If they come in for an interview, they're kept waiting for periods of time. Sometimes you're late on the call and make no apology. If a job applicant did that with you coming in for an interview, how would you feel about that? you would probably take note of it and file it away and hold it against them, and rightly so. So recognize punctuality, and if you can't be on time, start off with a simple apology and then move on. That simple apology goes a long way toward rectifying that sin. Now, here's another thing that people do that I find absolutely bizarre, and that is they screen for fit. How this person will fit into your organization. Now, I don't know what your credentials are. I'm a guy with 40 years in the search business, but I also have a master's in social work. I had a good underpinning in organizational development. I've done psychoanalytic training, and I practiced for a number of years. And at the end of the day, I can speak with strong confidence that most of you, almost all of you, are ill-equipped to assess for fit. And if you're able to, I assure you that your hiring managers aren't. So what are you doing? Now, here's what fit normally translates into. They're compliant, docile, they'll do what we tell them with very little argument. And they'll fit in with everyone else because everyone we hire is kind of personality-wise alike. Why is that good? Explain that to me. Why is that good? After all, that everyone gets along means that there's no renegade to drive that group or that part of the business. Why are renegades good? Well, let's start off with, would you have hired Steve Jobs? Would you have hired Larry Ellison? Would you have hired any number of great businessmen or women who are, I'll use Donald Trump as an example. You may not like his politics, but he creates value. And isn't that what your business is all about? But there's collateral damage. Well, there's collateral damage with doing it this way. The way you're doing it now basically encourages vanilla, plainness, sameness. There's no one there to spur the conversation. And when I use the Donald Trump example, I'm not saying that you should hire people that you would judge as extreme as Trump, but there's something more that you can create by pushing to have your organization hire individuals who see the world differently than the incumbents. So, hiring for fit, especially when you're ill-equipped to do it, as almost all of you are, is bizarre to me. Here's something else that people do. You write job ads like you're bureaucrats working for the government, and I don't mean that in a good way. So you talk about the appropriate individual, the selected candidate, things that basically scream that you're a clumsy bureaucracy where individuality is unimportant, and we just want to hire the fifth drone to work on the fourth floor in the third cube at the second desk by the one window there. How good is that? Do you really think that's a good way to present yourself? Write like a human being. Talk to people like human beings. When all is said and done, communicate as one human to another. Here's another thing that you do. Now, I confess there are times where I use this to get more information, but for you as a corporation, there's no reason why your system doesn't generate a simple questionnaire or why it does not respond at all. Hear me, not at all. You need to respond to everyone unless you give them an idea that you will only respond if their background appears to fit the job. They've just been asked to spend a lot of time submitting their resume and filling out your forms. Why? Why do you ignore that? It's absolutely bizarre. And if you don't think that people take note of it and share that information, you're wrong. They do. Here's another thing that you do. You ask for free consulting. So they've been on 6 interviews for your firm, and the hiring manager says, we want you to do a project for us for free. Now, I had one client who had someone do some drafting for them, but they paid them for it. And it was part of the interview, and people knew this going in because I made the point of telling them. Now, for you, for your firm, there are times where people go on 5 or 6 interviews, and then they say, we have a project for you to do for us. and you're asking them for free consulting work. It's insane. Now, it's one thing to say, we want you to present on any topic of your choice. And we prefer it to be professional material, but pick the topic of your choice and give us 10 minutes at the whiteboard and give us a lecture about it so we have a sense of your ability. It's another thing to ask them to do a project that your firm can do. It's rude, obnoxious, and you're stealing. You're stealing time under false pretenses because that's what most of you do. Most of you who ask for this kind of service from people, you're stealing time under false pretenses because I will tell you, most of the time, people are spending hours working on these things and then you don't respond in a prompt way. Help me understand how that was a good idea. Then another thing that you do is keep them waiting for a long time for feedback. I've got one client who is delightful. When there are delays, he sends an email directly to the candidate, lets them know what's going on, gives them an expectation of a timeline. I don't have to do it. He copies me on it. Another thing, and again, why there's no courtesy on your part, escapes me. If a candidate didn't call you back when you called them or didn't respond to your email, you'd be annoyed. Well, this is no different, except you're the one that's now doing it. Another thing that people do is, frankly, they keep them waiting for long periods of time at the time of the interview. It is so simple to walk out of the reception area for a moment and personally say, hi, I apologize for keeping you waiting. I need 5 more minutes. Is that okay? And just let them know that something came up you have to respond to. It'll take 5 minutes. I apologize. We'll get going and it'll take as much time as you have for me. So just give them an idea of delays. Another thing that's peculiar that firms do, I understand why, but you don't want to tell them how much the job pays, but you ask them to tell you what salary they're earning and what they're looking for. At the end of the day, I understand that you want to wield the power disparity to your advantage, but they take note of your rudeness. And if they understand that if they decline to answer the question, you're not going to take them seriously, even if they're the best person you've seen. What you do is send a message of rudeness and offensiveness to job hunters. They pick up on it, and when you add in a couple of these other things that you do, you're hurting yourself, you're turning off candidates, you're turning off potential great hires for reasons that are peculiar to me. So those are my tips for this show about how not to turn people off, how to present your firm and yourself in a great way so that you're not driving people away. Now, I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, share it. If you're listening in iTunes, I hope you subscribe to the show and give it 5 stars and a good rating. Also want to mention that if you're trying to hire someone, call me. My number is 646-374-8656 or email me at jeffaltman@thebiggamehunter.us. Let's figure out a time to speak. I'd love to help you firm staff positions. If we're not already connected on LinkedIn, send a connection request. The address is linkedin.com/in/thebiggamehunter. I accept connection requests from people all over the world, except if you look like a third-party recruiter to me, except if you look like a spammer or scammer. Finally, want to mention that my first book for hiring people, for employers, came out 2 weeks ago. And if you go to Amazon, it'll be available as a PDF on my website very soon, but for now I just have it on Amazon. If you go to Amazon and search for the book, You Can Fix Stupid, No BS Hiring Advice, and order it. It's a whopping $5, I think. You'll get some of my opinions about how to be more effective in your job search. In your hiring. I'm Jeff Altman. Hope you enjoyed today's show. Hope you have a great day.